Who is your God? Who is your God? Who is my God? Is it a God who saves? Certainly hope so. Is it the God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob? I certainly hope so. Is it Jesus Christ? I certainly hope so. Is it a God who saves? We know for sure that worshiping Satan, we know that worshiping the pagan gods who really don't exist, just in myths, we know that's wrong. That's against the first commandment. But we also need to ask ourselves, unfortunately, what is our God? What is your God? What is my God? What do you spend your time doing? Are sports your God? Is music your God? Are academics your God? Is being a class clown your God? Is your own ego your God? Unfortunately, we have to ask those questions. Both you have to answer them and I have to answer them for ourselves, for myself. Because we're fallen human beings and we fall into traps of worshiping other things, not offering them worship necessarily, but putting them above God. That's also against the first commandment. What do we put before God? Sports. We get up early in the morning, we go into late evening, and we practice and we practice and we practice to win a trophy. To win a trophy. To have bragging rights. We practice and we practice to put a musical on or to put music together. To sound good. And it's over. Academics, we work hard to get into a good school, to have a good job, to be educated. And it's over. Those things can't save. In the end of the world, those don't save. We got the first reading. We talked about the destruction of Babylon. And in the Old Testament, we see Babylon, and into the New Testament, Babylon becomes a synonym for sin. The great destruction of sin. That's what Jesus proclaims. That's what Jesus saves us from. Not sports, not academics, not music, or any other extracurricular. They don't save us from our sins. They have their value. I love sports. I love music. And I love various other extracurriculars. School I don't like so much. Right? But it's a good thing. And anything we're involved with, we must put all of our effort into it. But ultimately, they don't save. What saves is Jesus Christ, and that's what he promises. We got those scary, scary images in the gospel that Jesus gives. The destruction of Jerusalem, but also the end of the world, the destruction of the world. And he is the one that saves us from that. At the end of it, he says, stand erect when these things happen, because your redemption is close at hand. Not from sports or music or academics, other extracurriculars, being a class clown, being popular. None of that stuff saves, but only Jesus. Only Jesus promises redemption. And that's what we celebrate in Mass. That's why we worship God. A God who saves. A God who created the world out of nothing. A God who created the world intelligible with order so we can study it in science and math and other academic courses. A God who gave us music to sing, a voice. A God who gave us physical abilities in sports to succeed. A God who gives us time for other extracurriculars. When I was in college, I listened to a talk by Father Larry Richards. If you ever need a good swift kick in the pants, it's from that guy. And he says what? One of the things he says is, what do you give your time to? He says, if you give more time to something else or prioritize something else above God, then you love that thing more than God. For instance, going to Mass on Sunday. Do you let sports take up that time? If so, you love sports more than God. If you don't pray every day because you don't have time, because of too many extracurriculars or too much academic work, or too much music practice, then you love that stuff more than God. And that stuck with me because it continues to convict me, even as a priest. I'm not going to tell you how early I get up in the morning, but it's early. And I have to pray in the morning. I have to change my schedule, my comfort level before God, to show Him that I love Him, that He is my God. So I encourage you to take some time to pray every day. Our redemption is close at hand. It's right in the chapel. Jesus. Pray. There's confession tomorrow. Come to confession. Be reconciled to the God who saves. Because if you're not reconciled, how can He save? If you don't say, I'm sorry, how can He save? So let's now approach the altar, that wedding feast of the Lamb. And we say those same words that were in the Scriptures. Blessed are those who are called to the supper of the Lamb.